similar to the last section. We've just got formulas that they're going to give us the radius, they're going to give us the height. We're still going to be using pi. Tori, you're paying attention? Okay. We're plugging into the formula, and then we have to use our algebra to solve whatever the missing thing is, okay? The main thing on this one is to know what your order of operations are, okay? Because we're going to have parentheses, we're going to have exponents, we're going to have square roots, okay? So you have to know, like, what parts do we simplify before we put it all together, okay? All right, so I'm going to give you the notes, because I don't want you to have to, because they're written out in story problems like the last one was. I don't want you to have to write those out. But you're going to do the problems on that sheet, not on this sheet. Because remember, just like the last one, you're going to do the work on this one. Your notes go on that one, not on this one. I'm not naming any names. Make them. I'll say if it's he or she. Okay, so you need a calculator. If you don't have a calculator, I'll put it up. I'm not going to say the answers. You guys are oh, that's good. And your scratch paper. Is that your scratch paper? Just put it with it. I just we used to do notebooks for yeah. Okay, everybody get one? Okay. So we are going to start on problem number 41. Okay, so I want to explain something. So when we have a regular rectangle and you're trying to find the area of a rectangle, okay, we go length, and when it's like a solid, okay, we go length times width, or base times height, okay. So on your drawing here, anytime they say base, what they're doing, and I can't draw for you, but so when we have a rectangle, okay, and let's pretend like it's a solid rectangle, like a box of Kleenexes, okay, they're looking at the rectangle that's like down here, okay, if I were to like draw this one out and up, right, so they're looking at this rectangle that's down here. If you're to find the area of that, then you have length times width, right, or base times height, okay, to find the area of that rectangle, okay. So sometimes they'll tell you the length, the width, and the height. When they don't tell you the length and the width, they're actually putting them together like in this problem and telling you what the two of those put together are, okay. So they didn't do length, width, and height, which we're using for this formula. They put the length and the width together, and they called it the area of the rectangle, okay? So the formula that we would use for this one would be length times width times height divided by what? Because you have it on your paper. 3. Okay, so again, if we read this question, everybody's looking at 41 so that you understand this. It says a rectangle pyramid has a base area of 96. So they actually figured out what these two are already put together. They put the length and the width together, okay? So I'm just replacing that, okay, with 96.1. Because they already put the length and the width together, because that's area, okay? What was the height? 11.9, so that's the H, right? Does that make any sense? Okay, because other ones they'll actually say the length is this, the width is this, the height is this, so they'll have to like multiply it out. Okay, so now on your calculator, you're going to go 96.1 times 11.9, and then divide that by 3.
381.1 or 0.2.
0.2. Okay, so 381.2. Not bad so far, right? But that's your easiest formula if you looked at your formulas that you wrote yesterday. Okay, now we're going on to, actually, let's go to 52. Just make sure we're good on this. Okay, so 52 is the same thing. It's an octagonal pyramid that has a base area of 86.5. So that's already the length and the width. Okay, that's already put together. So that would be 86.5. What am I going to multiply times that? 15.5. And I'm going to divide that by 3. Okay, tell me what you get. Good. Okay. Okay, so we're good on those. Okay, so ones that are similar to that, but now they don't give you the base area, they actually give you the length, width, and height. We're going to go to number 46. So it's the same as this one, but we just have one extra step because they didn't give us the base. Okay, so number 46. Okay, so in that drawing, instead of in the sentence, we had the length, the width, and the height. Okay, it really doesn't matter which one's which. There's 3 numbers there, right? What are we going to do with those 3 numbers? Multiply them, okay? So this is number 46, okay? So we have the length, the width, and the height. The height is always the one with the 90 degrees, so that one for sure is the 12. And then we're going to divide it by what? 3. What'd you get? 440, yep. Okay, golden. Yes? Okay, so we're going to get away from those. Okay, now we're going to number 42. Okay, so number 42, it says calculate the exact surface area of the cone. And it just says the cone's not drawn to scale. Okay, we don't need to pay attention to that. We'll just use the numbers that they gave us. Okay, so our formula that you wrote for surface area of a cone is pi r, and we have parentheses, r plus, and then we have a square root, and then it's h to the second plus r. That is the one that we're using. And so if you looked at your vocab, remember there was one that was in the book, and then it also said look up the one on, what does it say? Google. So if you didn't get that one added on there, add that on there right now, because that's the one that was on Google. Oh, should have a parentheses there. Okay, so again, we have R's and H's. So we just need to know those 2 numbers and which is which, okay? So if you look at your story problem, number 42, what is the R? 20. What is the H? 21. Okay, and then this one we're leaving it in height because they tell you to plug in 3.14. Okay, we get to that. Okay, this is when we start learning about our order of operations. Okay, so I'm just going to replace this now with my H's and my R's. Okay, other than the pi is going to stay there. Okay, so the pi is going to stay there. My R is 20. Okay, then R again, so it's 20 plus, and inside the radical I have H squared, so okay, 21 squared plus R squared okay, pretty good to that. Okay, so order of operations, we do parentheses first. Well, inside the parentheses, there's another order of operations happening, okay? When you have square root, we have to simplify. It's almost like having another parentheses. We have to simplify what's under the radical first before I can combine it with this, okay? So we're gonna do 21 squared first. Not square root, squared. So 21 times 21. 441. So I'm just writing where this is coming from. So this is still underneath the radical. I haven't taken it out of the radical yet. Okay, now we're gonna do the exponent with the 20. So we do exponents. Okay, 400. Okay, so I said radicals, whatever's happening underneath is like parentheses. Now we're going to combine those two. So 441 plus 400. 840. Okay, that is what you're taking the square root of now. Because everything underneath it has to be combined in simplified order of operations before you can take the square root. What is the square root? 29. Okay, so I'm going to write out what we've got so we're not losing track. We've got 20, 20, and then we have 29. Okay, now typically we would multiply 20 times 3.14 and then distribute and then combine to do our order of operations. Okay, we're leaving this alone right now. Okay, so we're going to distribute because we do multiplication before we do addition. So that would give me 400. Okay, 20 times 29 gives you, what'd you get? Yeah, hold on a second. Or are you saying the answer?
Wouldn't you do 20 plus 29 first with the parentheses?
Yeah, that's what we're going to show that we can get the same thing.
Oh.
Sometimes you're going to have something.
580.
Okay, 580. Okay, adding those two, you would get 980. And then just don't forget the pi. Okay, so now go 20 plus 29. Okay, multiply that times 20. Okay, so order of operation, we can do parentheses first, or we can do our distributing. Sometimes you're not going to have like whole numbers here. We're going to have some other things that we're going to be plugging in, so we be careful with that. Okay, so that's our answer, 985. Good. Okay, let me find another one that's like that. So okay, 47 is actually like this one, but we have to do one step before it to actually find the h, because they don't give us the h. So we're going to number 47. Did they give you a picture on this one?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, so we would have cone coming up, circular down at the bottom, and then what we're looking at when they talk about slant height, this would be our radius going across here. So the radius is 9, right? They gave you that. Is that right? In the sentence? Okay. So we have the radius, which is 9, but we need the height. And they didn't give us the height, they gave us the slant height, okay, which is 16. What shape is that? Triangle. So something that we learned first semester that we can solve for the missing side. Remember what that is? Pythagorean theorem. So the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Which one is my c? 16, the hypotenuse. Okay. So it doesn't matter if the 9 is the a or the b. Okay. I just know I have to solve for that other side. So I'm going to put 9 squared. I don't know what my height is, but I do know that c is 16. Okay. Squaring 9, which is 81. This is, okay, squaring 16 is 256. Okay, what's my next step to solve? Okay, subtract the 81. Subtract the 81. So b squared equals 175. Okay, now, this is a catch on this one. It won't always be this way. So, to get b by itself, we would do the what? 175. Square root. But 175 is not a perfect square. Some of them will be, okay, which is great, because then we just solve for height, okay? And we would be able to plug it into our formula. But this one's not. So we have to leave it in radical format. okay? You don't want to plug in a decimal because that decimal doesn't terminate. We don't want to plug in something that doesn't terminate. So we're going to leave it like this when we plug it into the formula. Okay? But say it was b squared equals 36, then b would be 6, right? If we took square root as perfect square, then we would use 6. But this one's not, so we're going to use the radical. Okay, we're good to there. Okay, so that is the h. That's the height. So the height we're going to use is rad 1/7. Okay, so I want to erase what I've got. Does everybody have that written down before I do that? So that I don't have to scroll down. Okay. Okay, so now we're plugging it into that formula that we just used on that previous one. Everything that we know. Okay, so we have pi. The next thing is what? 9, because that's the radius, right? And then we have parentheses. What's the next thing? 9, because that's the r. Plus, and then underneath the radical, we're going to have 175 that we're squaring. And then we're also going to have 9. Okay, we're okay with that. Okay, now don't write this. We're just pointing something out. When we did problems in our last thing and we had cubed, remember? The squares, like, it's too easy for us to remember. But we were solving for r, and we had r cubed, and then we had some number over here. Okay, how did we get rid of the cube to get r? Cube root, right? And so when I do this, I've done this in the note, I say what we did on one side, we did it on the other side, right? But this, right, cancels out this and just leaves the r, because that's why we're doing it on that side. Okay, and then we wound up taking the cube root, okay? So cubed and cube root cancel each other. Well, what do you think is happening here? They cancel each other out, okay? So the square root and the square, squaring it and square rooting it, cancels it, but it still leaves what's underneath, just like it did here. The cubed and the cube root canceled each other, just like what was underneath, which was the r, okay? So let me erase that. I'm just explaining where it went. Because they're opposites of each other, so they cancel each other out. Okay, so this just becomes 175. What does that become? 81. Still under the radical. Okay, so combine those two now. So 175 plus 81.
Wait, it's still under the radical. I thought the radical.
Yeah, we're simplifying. No, this radical better than this.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah,
it
don't
was-
get that confused. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we add those two together, and then whatever that number is, you're going to take the square root of it. What'd you get? Yeah.
Square root is
Yours is
3, right?
right there. Second, because it's that color. What'd you get?
16.
16. Okay, so I'm just writing so we're not losing track of where things went. So we still have the pi 9, this 9 still here. We added those two together, took the square root, and that became 16. Okay, so now add those two together, and then times it by what? 9. And we're leaving it in pi, we're not multiplying it. Okay. Good.
So wait, why did the 9 come back?
9 plus 16, add your, what's in the parentheses. 9 plus 16. And then times it by 9. Pretty good? Okay, so that was 47. I'm kind of jumping all over my papers. I'm just make sure. Okay, we did 41, right?
Yes. Yeah.
42. Did we do 45?
No.
Okay, let's do 45. This one's a different formula. Okay, so number 45, it says find the surface area of a cylinder to the nearest square meter. This time we're plugging in something for 5. So the 4 is the radius, and the 8.6 is the what? What would the 8.6 be? Okay, so on number 45, it's a different formula. We're using 2I R H plus 2I R squared. Okay, you just told me that the radius is going to be what? 4. And the height was going to be
8.6.
And they want us to use for pi the 3. Okay, so I'm just going to replace everything in here, and then we got to do our order of operations to solve it. So I have 2, and then pi, they want us to use something, so I'm going to plug in the 3.14. R, 4, and then the H is 8.6. Okay, then plus, and then I have 2, and then pi again, we want us to use 3.14, and then r squared, my r is 4, okay, we good? No, it's right. Now good? Okay, so order of operations, we have parentheses, which is nothing inside the parentheses to do. The next thing is exponents. Okay, I do have an exponent, so it's not 4 times 2, it'd be 4 times, right, so it should make it 16. Okay, so this just became 16. Okay, so we got the exponents done, so the next thing is multiplication, okay? Well, I have a set of multiplication on this side, and I had a set of multiplication on this side. It doesn't matter which one you do first, okay? But you can't add them together until after you've got the multiplication done. Okay, so in your calculator, you're going to know 2 times 3.14 times 4 times 8.6. So just multiply this last side together. What'd you get? 216.032. Okay. Okay, now multiply the right side. So you're going to go 2 times 3.14 times 16. 100 point what? 40. Okay, so after I multiply the left and I multiply the right, I've done the multiplication. There is no division, so the next thing is add. So now add those two numbers together. Right? So we got 316.512. Yes? Okay. So, but on 45, it says round to what? So that means a whole number. Okay. So they want to, so if this number right here is 4 and lower, then you're not going to touch it, right? But because it's 5 or higher, it's not going to be 316, it's going to be 300 and right. So that's okay, so I think I've gone over all of them except for 55. And not going to do it because it's one of the easy ones. I just want to point it out. Okay, so you're looking at number 55. You'll actually do this one. I had it on my notes, but it's that length that's really much higher. So it says, what is the maximum volume of the pyramid that can fit inside a cube that has a size of 18? Well, the length is 18, the width is 18, and the height is 18. So when you see that, and you're like, well, where are the other two numbers? It means that those numbers are all the same, okay? So on that one, so you can go ahead and write it out. It'd be 18 times 18 times 18 divided by, okay? Just so you're not like, whoa, there's only one number here. You're good? Okay, so you'll do the remainder of them. So I can tell you right now, so you can cross them off. If you'd like to follow along, otherwise you can look it up yourself. Okay, so cross off on your notes, cross off 41, 42, 45, 46, 47, 52. That's it. Because I just explained 55. Okay, so we will grade this on Monday for St. There's no Monday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Monday or?
Yeah, we'll grade it, ask questions. So,